Good evening and welcome to the October 26th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. Before we get started, just a couple of things. Cell phones or electronic devices, if you could silence them, would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you're here to speak on an application, and we encourage you to do so, we just ask you to take the podium, give your name, speak into the microphone, give your name for the records keeper. If you have to leave the podium to look at a plan or point something out, please take the microphone with you. We are being recorded by FCTV, so it's very important that that microphone is for that. Okay, so first up is the minutes of the October 5th meeting. Anyone read those?
I didn't find any issues.
I didn't either, but I'm not as good as Mary.
Well,
Mary's faceless out this time. I did read the other ones.
Okay.
Actually, I just read the ones, they were from, Courtney had them, and I will accept them as written.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept as written. We got a second somewhere? Jamie?
second.
Second by Jamie. Any other comments, questions? To accept the October 5th meeting, 5th minutes, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. October 19th.
Mr. Chair, I read the minutes. They're in very good shape, but there were a couple small corrections. In one place, there's a question, what's the checkerboard pattern on the plan? It says it's a pattern, and it should be it's a patio. Those kinds of things, four of those small things. And so I would move to accept the minutes as corrected here.
Okay.
And I have a couple corrections that I'll give to Susan, and one was, it's on page 6, I believe it was Mr. Bird, but it was actually Mr. Bunker who said there was not in his jurisdiction, and I had said that vernal pool habitat jurisdiction, not in the vernal pool. So I'll give those to Susan.
All right. Yeah, I need a second.
I'll second it.
You made the motion, didn't you?
No, she didn't.
Mary made the
I'll
motion.
second it then.
You seconded, okay. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Other business, review Falmouth Academy request for the Chase the Turkey race through BB Woods on Thursday, November 24th, 2016, Thanksgiving Day. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Falmouth Academy is requesting to have their semi-annual, basically, chase the turkey race for Thanksgiving. I think putting, what is it, like 4 point?
Yeah, it's all through BB Woods.
Yeah, all
They've
through
been
BB
doing it
Woods.
for
It's like
years.
4 point something miles. They usually have a really nice turnout, and they leave BB Woods as they go in, so I would recommend approving that race.
Move to grant the request from Falmouth Academy.
Second.
We got a motion by Mary, I got a second by Jamie. Any other comments or questions? Comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Okay, request for a continuance on a hearing under a notice of intent. Robert Karen, 41 Little John Road, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct a single-family, 3-bedroom house, deck with stairs, install a Title V sewage disposal system, utilities, dry wells, gravel driveway, the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant's requesting a continuance until November 9th.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion by Maury and a second by Courtney to continue to November 9th at the request of the applicant.
I assume that you checked the calendar. My recollection is we've already continued a lot of things to November 9th.
Yes, that's a good point.
Ross, do I need to put the form on here? Where's
You have 4
continuous?
continuance and no new notices.
Oh, no, okay.
Noted it was
All right.
continued, we didn't.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
you have,
No new notice.
yeah, you have 3 continueds.
So this is the 4th or the?
Yeah, that'll be the 4th.
Okay.
You have 1 continued enforcement, and right now, 4 REAs. So we don't have any
All right.
notices yet.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to continue to November 9th.
And just to let you know, Mary, those notices need to come in like tomorrow in order for us to advertise them
Right.
tonight, so we don't have any.
Okay.
We haven't.
That's good.
I'm going to call for a vote, continue to November 9th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Request for determination of applicability. This is the lesser of the applications. What you're looking to hear on this one is a negative determination. Carolyn Parton, 30 Westwood Road, North Falmouth, Mass. Permission to remove autumn, olive, honeysuckle, bayberry, wild grape, catbrier, and bittersweet vines, and to selectively vista prune trees and shrubs. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mark met with the applicant's representative Hamilton Tree, and we were recommending a -2 under the statement bylaw with the resource area boundaries not been set.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion by Courtney and a second by Mary. Comment?
Are they going to give you a methodology on this? In other words, are they pulling these things out by the roots? Are they using herbicide? What's the methodology here?
They not.
Did they discuss this with Mark, you
But
said?
they did
This is
meet,
the
Dave
kind
Salter
going to
met
meet
with
on
Mark,
site.
and Mark was comfortable with it, but I can get an answer for that for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold up approval of it, but
Yeah, but
I
I'll
would
ask-
like to see a methodology,
Sure.
and we need to know that it's being done by an approved herbicide applicator.
Yeah,
and-
Hamilton, if it's
Yeah, I
with
know,
herbicide,
yeah.
Hamilton has an applicator on
So-
its staff.
All right.
But I'm gonna say Mark, Courtney would like to see a methodology. Sure, we can get you one, Courtney.
Good. Any other comments, questions?
Oh, and the other question I have is, are they going to, in the area that they remove all this stuff, I suspect it's got to be stripped of vegetation, are they
If gaps
planning?
are created by invasive plant removal, the openings will be replaced with bayberry and winterberry.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that wasn't on here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, there it is.
No.
You good, Courtney?
Yep,
Okay.
But I'll have Dave Salter submit a methodology and we'll forward it to you.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved.
Just one thing, Mr. Chairman, and I should have mentioned this. Mark did say this particular applicant files this religiously, so they are very,
I saw that.
he worked with them for
Oh,
years, so.
Okay. Cool.
He's very comfortable working with this particular property.
Okay.
That's good to hear. Continued request for determination of applicability. Mark Bogosian, 147 Lakeview Ave, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to demolish the existing house and septic tank. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is just a demo of the house, but there was some small issues with that. Mark has been working with the applicant's representative, and at this point, he is recommending -2 under the bylaw and -3 with the state with 7 different kind of, mostly like install a limit of work and things like that, because it's a demo only. The problem is that between the demo and the pond is town of Falmouth property that has been absolutely made into lawn. So part of that is that they have to install a fence and allow the town property to regrow.
Does,
How about we get a motion in a second first?
okay,
Move for -2 and -3.
Second.
I'll
We got a
second.
motion by Mary and a second by Courtney. Comments or questions?
Does this portend a notice that's going to talk about putting a new house there? I mean,
We haven't heard anything about the new house. I think what happened is the butter purchased the property to make it more of a yard. They're using the area of the existing house for yard. I mean,
Okay.
lawn.
okay,
So,
yep.
That's what we were told, whether or not it gets sold and a new house goes up, but when it came under an RDA, Mark was under the assumption it was a raise and rebuild, and we were gonna have them do a notice, but then it's just a demo.
Okay.
Okay?
Any other comments? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote for the -2 and a -3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Request for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. And first up tonight is Robert Karen, 41 Little John Road. They're continued, correct, Jen? November 9th. Okay. Next up is Harry and Linda
Sorry, didn't do my job.
Stankiewicz, I apologize. 161 Lake Shore Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to raise the existing structure, construct a new three-bedroom, single-family house with deck and stairs, front entry, to remove existing cesspools and install a new Title V sewage disposal system, dry wells,
for the
utilities,
file, too.
remove trees, and install native trees and shrubs,
Yeah.
and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jeff?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll take any of my questions until after Tim's presentation. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
I don't get one.
Yeah, you can, I got scale if you want to miss.
No, I got it.
I can leave it come with.
Oh, I see what you did. Okay.
Good evening, for the record, Tim Santos from Homes on McGrath, representing the applicant. Property is located at 161 Lake Shore Drive along Jenkins Pond. It's currently developed with an existing single-family home. The resource area is on or within 100 feet of the property, Jenkins Pond, the inland bank associated with it, and a bordering vegetated wetland along the pond itself. The applicant is looking to demolish the existing single-family home and construct a new one. A new Title V system would be located between the house and the road. All roof runoff will go to dry wells in accordance with the redevelopment standards. We have approximately 350 square feet plus or minus of increase within the buffer zone A and B. So we're proposing 750 square feet of mitigation plantings, typical species that we've used before in the past that the board seems happy with. There's also some mitigation trees as well, as noted on the plan. If the board has any questions, I'd be more than happy to address them.
Thanks, Tim. Jen?
I don't have any questions or concerns. Tim, have Jeff submit those data sheets for me?
Okay.
Okay. That's the last time I'll
No
ever
questions.
ask. I'll
Maury?
send you home next time.
I almost sent an email.
I thought it was a pretty straightforward plan. The only question I did have, Tim, is where the two dry wells are. It's a pretty steep lot. And the two dry wells that are on the water side, if they could just be brought up to the corners of the house?
Yeah, to be honest with you, we put them there, but the contractor's probably going to put them as close to that house as possible.
Yeah, only because it's so steep, and then, I don't want to see those trees, a few that are there, be disturbed, so that would be the only
Not
thing,
an
the
issue at
condition. Other than that, it's an improvement, no cesspool, and more mitigation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kristen?
No questions.
Mary?
No questions.
Jamie?
Wow, I think I have a dumb question then. Looks like it's closer to the resource than,
It's not. Currently, the existing house is 72 feet from the inland bank. The proposed house is set at 72 feet. I can let you borrow the
you
scale.
gonna hit me with that?
You can borrow it if you want. Jen and I already had this conversation.
Okay, fair enough. It's my job to point out the obvious.
I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like not full.
Yeah, if you use the scale, it is.
Okay, any other questions? What's your pleasure?
Motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
Mary? I have a motion, and what was the second again? Oh, Maury. So, motion by Jamie, second by Maury.
The data sheets are ready to be submitted?
I'll have Jeff bring them over tomorrow. Or I'll
Okay.
bring them over tomorrow.
Any other comments or questions?
We have the green cards and the.
I have them.
Jim, you have a phone number?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I
Okay.
just slid these, you know, we can have it.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments, questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Close the hearing, take it under advisement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you very much. Have a great Thanksgiving, if I don't see you.
Same
You
to
as
you.
well.
Not even a weekend, huh? Going right to Thanksgiving.
That's a long one.
All right, next up is John and Linda Killian, 176 Waterside Drive, North Falmouth, Mass., for permission to extend the existing fixed pier approximately 17 feet into Fiddler's Cove, which includes a 5-foot by 17-foot walkway, the addition of 4 10-inch pilings, and the relocation of the existing ramp and floats. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll save any of my questions until after. Like, presentation.
Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Michael Borselli, Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant, John Killian. We're here tonight in hopes of getting permission to do some improvements to the existing licensed dock. The dock is in Fiddler's Cove, directly across from Fiddler's Cove Marina. It's in the seascape section of Falmouth. And there's currently a fixed pier, pile-supported pier, ramp and floats. And the landward end of the floats are only about 9 inches. The water depth on the landward end of the floats is only about 9 inches. And with the draft of the float and the buoyancy under the float, on some tides, the landward end touches the bottom. Mr. Killian has lived here since the mid-'80s and has noticed, for some reason, the western side of Fiddler's Cove has shoaled. So all of the properties on that side have experienced shallowing, if that's a word, of the water. So I can't explain why. This is what he tells me, and it makes sense because I don't think he would have proposed the dock. And the original plans from back in the late 80s, early 90s show more water depth. So the idea is to just extend the dock out one more section and then use the same floats and the same ramp and connect it back up to the extended section of the pier. So the net result is about a 17-foot extension of the dock. You have a regulation that has a maximum length of 100 feet from mean high water, so we've taken full advantage of that. We're at 99 feet, so that we can get the floats in greater water depth. The water depth now at the landward end is 4.4 feet. So there's more than 3 feet of separation between the bottom and the buoyancy underneath the floats. We did submit a plan and request comments from the harbor master. He responded with no objection. Just today, we got an email from Division of Marine Fisheries with no issues at all. I don't know, Jen, if you got that letter from Division of Marine Fisheries.
I did.
Basically, one comment, make sure the barge that drives the piles floats at all tides, which I'd expect would be a condition. So there's 2 pilings to support the new end of the pier, and then there's 1 piling at the end, the seaward end of the float, and 1 piling on the landward end of the float, so that stays fixed in position. So there's a total of 4 pilings. As I was sitting in the audience waiting my turn, I noticed I could have done a little better on showing soundings in and around the floats, and I know that one member in particular often makes comments about the soundings and making sure there's enough soundings on the plan. I have more soundings. I can provide you with a plan with more soundings. To be honest with you, I was more focused on just knowing that when we extended it, it was going to be in much deeper water, but I can give you a plan with more soundings. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Jamie?
I don't have any questions.
Mary?
I have two questions, but they're more for enlightenment than anything else. I think more soundings would be a good idea, because that's really the rationale here for the whole thing. And I think it's it's an improvement. My two questions are with regard to the diminished depth. I don't know if we have any aerial views of the coastline. Is it possible the coastline's accreting there, or?
I would find that hard to believe. I'm not a coastal geologist, but this little basin or that western shore is on the lee side of like all of Nye's Neck and Seascape, so the prevailing southwest wind.
Yeah.
There's no like literal drift of material that would sneak in and around, or that would be very surprising. I'm not really sure. Maybe the currents and tides are drawing material out of Fiddler's Canal and it's shoaling. Maybe this tidal action, the way the dynamics of the tide works is creating the sedimentation on that shoreline. It's the only, there is no what you would say, oh yeah, that makes sense, reason
Right.
that I can see.
Yeah, okay. And the other question I have, this may be from our regulations, I didn't have an opportunity to check, but how did you arrive at the mitigation amount?
Yeah, I failed to mention that we did do a shellfish survey. Pam Newberg from Stantec submitted a report. Your regulation says two things about shellfish densities and the need for mitigation. If this were a new dock, your performance standard is that no mooring field, which is where the boat ties, can be within 35 feet of an area that has significant densities of shellfish, and that's defined, 1 per 9 square yards.
Specifically the $350 that I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah, so if the mooring field's within 50 feet of an area of significant densities of shellfish, you're required to provide mitigation. So I just looked at the last few docks that I had permitted and the orders of conditions, and I used the same mitigation value that we had on previous ones.
Okay.
That's the only reason.
You didn't consult with Chuck or something?
I did not, no.
All right,
Mary, I can speak to that
okay,
in a sec.
great. That's all. Thanks, Mike.
Kristen?
Hi, I don't see the total square footage of the dock, the total amount of the dock. I'm not seeing it.
It's not on the area of the dock?
Yeah, the whole.
I didn't calculate
Did you say it
that.
was 17 plus,
Well, the extension is 17.
you want the total area?
Yeah, I mean, isn't there a limit for,
That's when there's
There's a
the
limit,
T or an L.
Kristen, on the length of it from mean high water or the landward edge, or the seaward edge, seaward edge of the salt marsh. It's 100 linear feet.
okay.
And then if they have a float, it is
100 square
limited to
100 square, for the
100 square
float,
feet.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. And the only other question I have is there lighting already there that you're adding to?
I can't remember if there's lighting.
Along the dock, there is.
I can't remember. There is?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Matthews says there is. I just didn't know. But,
Oh.
I mean, any new, if there were new lighting, it would be in accordance with your maximum candle power.
Okay, because, yeah, you said there was lighting to be added, but I just didn't know if you're adding it along the whole dock or if you're just extending it.
I believe it exists on the fixed pier already,
Okay,
the existing fixed pier.
all right, thank you.
Okay, Kristen, thank you. Laurie?
I just had a couple questions, Mike. The soundings Mary already touched base on, and obviously where the mooring field would be nice to know. But I'm looking at the old Chapter 91 license, and this doesn't look anything like the old one.
Which number is it? There's 2 licenses.
Okay, it doesn't look like 2416.
Okay.
Did they get one after that again?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, because the one that they're showing, I mean, this is actually better, it's out more in deeper water, but the other one does show a T.
Yeah, okay.
And it really doesn't show all that boardwalk and deck and all that stuff up on the upland. So I just, they're not the same. That was.
Yeah. Well, the dock on the license plan focuses on the dock, not on what happens in the upland. So that's why I would surmise it doesn't show all the upland detail for the Chapter 91 license. I see that there's a T, yeah, and it's 2 6x10 floats. I believe that over time, because of the shoaling, Mr. Killian decided to, since that those come in and out every year, that it would be more usable if he turned them.
He spun them.
So that the sterns are out in the deep water.
So I guess my question is, does the Chapter 91 license have to be?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to get we have to go to the selectmen, go to selectmen for a special permit because it's bigger, longer. We have
Yeah.
to get a new license.
Okay, so I just want to make sure of that. Okay, and then the next question, what are the pilings going to be made of?
I don't specify, I only say they're not going to be CCA treated because different people, when they're pricing it out, make decisions on which type of piling. It's either going to be green heart or it's going to be the epoxy coated
Yep.
ones, one or the other, and they haven't determined.
That's beautiful, thank you.
Maureen, that's a plan from, there were 2 dock permits on this property, that's the way it felt. They did get a COC on, and I do believe that kind of mirrors the
Supersedes this.
Yeah, that mirrors that Chapter 91.
Yes, it does. Okay, yep, thank you.
No questions.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to answer Mary's question. Mary, the shellfish and Mike, I was going to say this. Basically, the $350 was based on an old price list from ARC for 1,000 seed. That price list obviously has changed. I will get a new price list from CUP, and the mitigation may go up in accordance with that price list, okay? Just to let you know, that was based on
Sure.
a very old price list.
Yeah.
So I will talk to Chuck to see what basically the going price is today, and we'll base that on today. And if you'd like some copies of the price lists, I can verify.
No, that's fine. I
Okay.
probably should have specified the seed, amount
count,
of seed
right.
instead of money.
It's-
I couldn't
struck
find
me
the
a little
number of
strange.
seed anywhere, so I went by.
I think it was 10,000
It went-
seed.
Yeah, it was right out of an order from a previous one.
Yeah, it
that
was,
You folks have put it
based
in.
on a price for basically the town to purchase 10,000 seed toolbox.
Okay, so we may need to amend that.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll get them at that.
Whatever it is.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure you realized that
You're planning on
we
it.
realized we needed to propose mitigation.
Mike, the only other thing is, it looks like over the years, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 orders of conditions on this property. The only one they're missing is DEP 25162 for the house. You may want to tell your clients they should probably put a COC request for the house, just so in case they ever want to,
Yeah.
do that's the one that'll be now. And this one, that was like the only outstanding COC
Okay.
to date. If we
I'll-
don't count the one we're just working on today, so.
I'll
Yeah.
get a copy of that order and talk to you
Yeah.
about that.
Okay,
Thank you.
not a problem.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
And make a motion.
Don't we need a revised plan with the mooring field and the
Yes.
soundings, or
Yep.
do you just want that to come in? Or do you want
Do we have a
to see
hearing
it?
next week?
Do we have a hearing next week? I think we do.
All right, why don't we
Why
just
don't
hold
you
off
get me
until,
a plan by next week?
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, we only have 3 notices and no continued, so yeah, that's
It'll be
fine.
simple.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Great.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so at the request of the
Continued.
applicant, I move that we continue
And
the,
like,
Is it
I would
this
also
hearing for
say-
1 week.
I would also suggest, Mike, you
That's
reach
the
out to
second.
Chuck
The
and
second,
Greg to
right?
see if you can get the price list too.
What's that gonna put us to?
For the 10,000 seed cohog and tell them it's for 10,000 seed
Are you
cohog.
sure it's 10,000?
I thought it was 10,000, I can double check. Call me tomorrow and I can grab my thing.
All right.
Although I couldn't find it today, so.
So that would be November 2nd?
Second.
Correct.
Yep.
For sound.
We have a motion by Mary. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Jamie. All those in favor of continuing to November, at the request of the applicant, until November 2nd, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Very good. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, request to extend the existing order of conditions. Matthew and Russell Lynn Seller.
I have to
Tyler,
I have to
Seiler?
recuse myself.
Oh,
you
okay.
can take both of them at once, Mr.
Can I just
Chairman.
back up or do I have to leave the room?
Yeah, just, that's it. 10 Nashawina Street, West Falmouth, Mass. DEP number 25-3968. Request a one-year extension till 12/11/2017. Also, DEP number 25-3969, also the same property. Request a one-year extension till 12/11/17. Jim?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the staff recommends a one-year extension. The project is still going forward. Yeah,
So moved.
still
Second.
under construction.
So we have a motion by Mary and a second by Courtney.
Yep.
Any comments or questions? Comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, to grant the extension of 1 year. I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Continued enforcement issues. Jen?
You can take the first two, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Do you want to do a preamble to this, or?
No, I'll do a preeminence to the other ones that I have stuff on.
Jane and Robert Furr,
Yeah.
I've already read this in the record, so I'm just going to give the name and the lot number. Jane and Robert Furr, lot number 504. Jane and Robert Furr, lot number 504. Jen,
Well, there's two different ones, Mr. Chairman.
I see that.
So it's Jane and Robert Furr for 22 and 26 Shorewood Ave. So those were the two, I can show you, the property the house is on and the property just south of the house that's currently lawn.
Yep.
I explained this at the very first hearing we had on this. Basically, I was finally able to get in touch with the property owner. I met with her yesterday. I explained the process and the issues at hand and told her the staff was going to recommend an enforcement order on the house property and the property next door to submit a full existing conditions plan with resource areas delineated by soils and a full restoration plan on the site because there had been altering of wetland vegetation and wetland buffer vegetation. Basically, it's been cleared and made into lawn. So I met with the applicant, the property owner yesterday. I think she wanted to be here tonight. Russell has a statement that he's going to read from her, but my recommendation is to require a plan and a restoration plan within 60 days of the date we issue this, the enforcement order, so.
Okay, so this email was received Wednesday, October 26th. The situation was not, I think everybody has a copy of it.
Yes.
So the situation was not intended to be malicious or done on the sly. It was in fact done with what was believed to be respectful of the law of vista pruning of 4 feet. I had spoken to the Ravens about their view, and we discussed how the vines and brush were getting out of control. I was aware that vista pruning was allowed to be done to 4 feet. I was not, however, aware of the need for a permit since we were not asking to remove foliage, only pruning. I suggested someone who has worked for me before on landscaping that would consider doing the pruning. I was told to the landscaper he was going to go 40 feet from the marker on my land as included in the Ravens lot. I did not know, however, that cutting would go to the path or include additional owners. In fact, I did not even know there were other owners who owned uncut land, but thought they were only shared owners of the path of which was not to be touched. This was done without removing any planting, only vista pruning. Thank you, Jane Furr.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I believe she's talking about, and I jumped, the next series of enforcement orders. This is one of the property owners that authorized the work on those little strips of land, so I think
Okay.
just have an explanation. Just to amend, that recommendation also included in the survey and restoration plans will be a monitoring component for 3 years. It's just standard in your enforcement orders. It's just a straight up enforcement order. Okay, so that's that one, and then the second one.
That's Fred Cap.
That would be for
Catherine
building a pond
Ravens.
that we were able to investigate. There is no dock on the
Second,
property. Okay, so Mr. Chairman, the first one,
Yep,
the 22 and 26 is
Yep.
going to be an enforcement order. Second one is being basically dismissed.
all right.
There is no dock on the property. We checked.
Okay.
From the way the camera was angled, the photo was taken, and asked Russell if he saw the photo. It looked like something was out there. Russ went out and looked. He thought something was out there. When I went out and looked, I was a little iffy, and then when we were able to access the abutting property, we got a clearer
It was
view
very
of the
deceiving from
back,
the road
and
when
it's
you
not
looked
there.
at it. It was,
Okay, so
looked
we're
like
just
there was a dog
dismissing
there.
that one.
Move to issue an enforcement order for the clearing and altering of wetland resource area and to dismiss the question of an
Building
enforcement order for building on the wetland.
Second,
So we get a motion by Mary and a second by Maureen.
as discussed.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public?
I did.
Okay, hearing none, I'm going to call for the vote then. All those in favor of enforcement on 22 and 26 and dismissing 26, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Okay, next up is Fred and Catherine Ravens, lot 531. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if you take the next section, all of the rest of the enforcement orders, do you want to read this?
Sure.
I hate to do this.
Including Cardozo?
I thought, yeah. we
No,
take a
you don't
look.
have to do Cardoza, just,
Do we have a chance to speak on any of these?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I put it out before on the first two,
Thank you.
so you'll
so
hear.
the next ones you will have a chance to
Yep.
speak. So, Mr. Chairman, I would take Ravens, then drop down to Ellen Davis.
And that's it?
No,
Just those
Ellen
two?
Davis, then Coffee, then.
And the rest of them, okay.
Yeah,
Because,
Leave
yeah, I
Rice-
thought that was.
Leave Cardozo Rice out.
yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do Fred and Catherine Ravens, lot 531. Ellen Davis, trustee, lot 535. William and Cecilia Coffey, lot 536. Peter and Judith Hurwitz, lot 537. Michael and Amy McGrath, lot 538. Michael and Michelle Banks, lot 539. Janet Malee, trustee, and Janet Malee irrevocable trust, lot 540. William Collins, lot 541, and Michael and Kathleen Miller, lot 542.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we heard these last week. That was a mistake on my part. I had down that we were continuing all of these to the 19th. Courtney added them to the agenda. When I went back and looked at the tape, because Susan brought it to my attention, I was like, no, it's the 19th. When I went back and looked at the tape, Mr. Chairman had continued everything to the 26th. So basically, to correct this matter, Pat says to just put it back on the agenda and revote it. So again, the recommendation on these lots is going to be do an updated survey and file a vegetation monitoring maintenance management and monitoring plan to manage and monitor for invasives and monitor the growth for the next 3 years so that we don't have wholesale cutting in that area again. The path, we're going to have to narrow a bit and/or maybe put some, and I've been thinking about this, Mr. Chairman, placing some large boulders at the roadside so that, because right now the path is being currently used as a boat ramp, there are trailer marks down there. The Mark and I discovered, so that was kind of alarming to us because they're going through the salt marsh, so find a way to restrict access from a trailer standpoint because we want the people to be able to have the access to the shoreline but not necessarily drive a truck down there. So that was our recommendation on all the lots. We will be sending out separate enforcement orders on all of these properties. We will be crafting a cover letter stressing that it probably is in the applicant's best interest or property owner's best interest to work together. From a cost standpoint and an ease standpoint, it will be best if they all work together. So we will be outlining that. And then it'll be up to the property owners to make that happen. Again, I would recommend that this plan, along with an updated survey, be submitted within 60 days of receipt of the enforcement order. Okay? All I have to do is revote it.
Question?
Sure.
Sure.
You know what I'd like to do? Let me get a motion in
Yeah,
a second
okay.
first, and then we'll open up the questions to the public and on the board, so.
She can ask the question first, though, right?
It would go into the as-described part of it.
Oh, okay.
Is it true that for all these we're discussing now, there is no question of lawn?
No, there isn't any
Okay.
question of law.
All right.
No, this goes from basically the concrete bound over. If there was a question of lawn area, we would have say file the restoration plan, but because all the root vegetation is still
Right.
intact,
It's just
Mark and I
monitoring.
are kind of, we're just like, what do we do? And we feel that it is better from an ecological standpoint to allow it to regrow, monitor, and remove the invasives as necessary, and then
Right.
just allow it to grow into its full and mature form, as opposed to removing native vegetation just for the sake of planting them.
Right, I understand that. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that there wasn't any portion of this that
No, the
involved
only
lawn.
part is that path, and we'll describe it as either narrowing the path with some vegetation at the top so they can't get the trailers down there, or placing some large boulders there.
Okay. I move to issue these enforcement orders as discussed.
Second.
So motion by Mary, second by Maureen. Any other comments, questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Yes, sir. You go to the podium and just give us your name for the record, please.
My name is Daniel Wagner, and I live in the area that you're speaking of where the marsh area is. That's Belmar. Belmar, I've lived there for 50 years. The development was very slow but well-planned. Each lot was approximately 10,000 feet, and it has proven over the years to be a very good neighborhood, and that's what it is. It's a good family area. The builder gave us promises, and one of the promises was that he would not build at all along the waters that you speak of. Then all of a sudden, he got a sign-off from Conservation, this is 1970, and to go ahead and build. And that's where the foundation is, if you've looked at that source at all. And that's why it stays there, with determination. We went to court, 3 of us. We spent $1,000, it was a lot of money, to go to Boston to get a cease and desist on that land. From building on it. It was all conservation land, or to be determined to be. And what had happened is that the conservation made a deal, which is on the deeds, that they could build on 4 of those lots. That's why the other, as long as it passed the Board of Health. That one you speak of the foundation did not pass the Board of Health. The others squeezed by. Now, at that time, the land was owned by the developer, but was not the lowland, it was the upland only. There's an upland and a lowland if you look at it. There were two different deeds in there. At that time, all of that land was it was not treed land. It was all the equivalent to rough grass land, which in the hurricanes came and went as protected lands. What the developer so they allowed them to build on 4 of the lots. The land there, the land that were there, once those buildings were put there, they were grassed in. It wasn't like there were big trees that they took out at all, the people. They protected, they made them nice, made that community nice. Now, later on, there was another grouping that the developer had, and he wished to put in 30 separate lots of 10-foot lots so that people could walk to the water, and he was using it as a promotion. And he wanted $10,000 a lot. The conservation stepped into there with a 300 committee and tried to make a deal with the builder, and it came to a figure of $150,000 the builder wanted. Conservation, or 300, would go 100. We in the neighborhood, rather than go back to court and fight on that issue, because we didn't want 30 lots being owned by other people, we decided we might get 20 of us together. And we started in at $2,500 a piece, so we could put together a kitty for conservation. We managed to get 50,000. It started at 25, and anything anybody would give us, we brought it to conservation, our 300 committee. When we got that done, they took the conservation money or 300 money with our money and made a deal with the builder. Finally, they got them to 125,000. Now we have that as land which is now in conservation's hands and is well used by the community. We don't have a lot of outsiders coming in, and if you go down the end of Irving Road, you'll find 25 small boats there. You'll find the bird's nest up in the air there. You'll see it, it's protected. This neighborhood is protected, it's waterland. You have not had many calls there. Our neighborhood is also a very good community. The police never have to come in there. We are self-contained and we're self-policed. Now when we get down to the conservation, I'm sorry, I don't hear well, so I didn't hear the previous conversation. But you should understand what actually occurred. Then the builder decided to take other land there and sell off lots. This is the land you're speaking of the names there. He set up, I don't know, maybe another 20 or 30, and he put them for sale at $10,000 a lot. I bought one. I'm not in the grouping that is here, but they put those aside, so we have access. But when we don't have access over the marsh, we have access over one space next to it. So we have controlled use of that marsh so we can get to the water. Now the water part, there were two deeds, upland and lowland. The lowland was acquired by the builder, which never should have been, because Ross and Jenkins Trust had given it to the town, and just like Bristol Beach, it never got reported properly, and therefore it stayed in the lawyer's file, and when they closed it out, they gave it or made a deal, which the builder finally up with the land. What I'm trying to say, it's a mishmash. And what is highland? What is lowland? Now, the whole town is afraid of conservation. Why? Because we don't know your laws. What you call high or low, we don't know. So therefore, if we come near you, the doors aren't open, it's get lost because we are the boss. We need a communication back and forth, an open door. So if they wish to vista prune, as you call it, we're allowed to, no, but not be afraid and do it in the dark. If you take Falmouth Harbor, all along there are nice benches there. And there is vista pruning that was done in this last year. I applied to conservation 5 years ago, and I spent thousands of dollars with the engineer to make sinkholes, and it's for 2 benches, Mr. Haley and I, to put along there. And we were not given any encouragement. We finally stopped our efforts. What I'm saying is we need communication and good feeling between conservation and the people. Now, what they did there, I looked at it with utter surprise when I saw it. I said, wow, they got a vista permit, which is, to my eye, it looked good. They didn't destroy any of the ground at all there. What they did is they allowed the people to see the water rather than have high trees there. Now, those are your rules of how it should have been done. But there are other areas in the town, they have allowed vista pruning such as that. Now, this was done by, let's say, mainly one person who was not one of the original people in there and took advantage of it. So out of this whole thing, I would like you to consider this as a learning experience for us and for yourselves, and allow communication back and forth. So if we need vista pruning, I don't mean our neighborhood, but the whole town, that they can feel free to walk in. And as you talked here earlier, if it were done through one of the engineering, you say, well, one of the engineering firms would help you identify the laws. You don't have the time. But it would tell you what could be done or not. But there's a way of doing it. And all I'm saying is, let this be a learning experience. Nobody did anything there to hurt anything. We have made a very good community.
So you understand the communication is a two-way street though, right?
I'm sorry?
The communications is a two-way street, right?
That's what I'm saying,
No,
but
so
we have got to feel we can talk to you. We have got to feel,
is
I'm
it-
here because I'm irritated that over the whole history there, we have done our part. This was a bad thing that was done because they did not come to you. But the
Sir,
person
they did
who
not,
was in
they
charge
could not
of
come
it-
to us, they did not come to us.
I'm sorry.
Okay? I said, it's not that they could not come to us, they chose not to come to us.
They chose not to because they probably feared you, and that shouldn't be.
My impression
Can I-
from this.
One at a time.
Sir, a rule of thumb is if you can see water, it's probably under conservation jurisdiction. So if you want to do something, the Conservation Department has office hours, and you can come in, tell them where, they have big maps, and you can tell them what they want to do, and they'll give you guidance.
I don't think you got my point. That's all.
Well,
Betsy, we're not gonna get anywhere.
Mary, go
I'd
ahead.
just like to add something. We got this submission from Jane Furr, and I think a complicating factor here was that she relied on a contractor who supposedly knew what was to be done, and he did the wrong thing.
I agree you have a right to have this meeting, but I'm trying to say for the future, that just because we have 133 people living in that neighborhood, we don't know the laws. She jumped into it, and we don't know what she's doing. We all operate independently. We have no association, and I'm glad. But when you send us a letter, you send 133, not one, to us. But we don't know what's happening. I just read it on the computer, and I said, that's unfair. They do not understand what has gone on, where we have been, and tried to keep this place in good order.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Yeah, there is somebody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Peter Hurwitz. Just wanted to point out, I spoke to Jennifer about this last Friday. We talked about, you thought somebody had driven down there to launch a boat. And I was speaking to one of the other lot owners who had been present the day they were doing the cutting, and he said that was the landscaper's truck.
Well,
So
all we know is that's why I'm saying maybe place boulders at the top of that path, not that it's gonna restrict anybody from walking down the path, but it will restrict people from driving down there. So that's why I'm saying to place the
Yeah.
boulders and maybe some more vegetation at the top of the path and let it grow in a bit, but not restrict
Agreed.
your access, because that way, because we do have photographs of tire marks in the marsh, and that's just not acceptable to us.
Right. We had talked about some of
Like Betsy
the-
said at the last hearing, we have no problem keeping that path open. Mike Miller was a big advocate for that all the property owners got together, so we wouldn't have all these little paths. It probably wouldn't have worked anyway, or been permitted. So we have one access point, which we think is great, but we have to be able to restrict vehicular access, because that could be a problem in the future. So that's
Okay.
why I made
Just-
that recommendation to the board.
Got it.
But I do remember our conversation, Mr.
Yeah, I wanted to point it out because I thought it was comical that somebody would try and get a boat, a truck
Mark
down
and I
there.
were
They'd
standing
never
about
get
that
out.
much water, and we're like, wow, look at the tire tracks.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
okay?
Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hurwitz.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so we have a motion, a second on the table. I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. All right. Very
Mr.
good.
Chairman, we have to go back to Reese Cardoza. We took
Oh,
him
yes.
out, and that's just so that town council sends them a letter.
Okay, so we need a motion for town council to send them a letter, is that what you're looking for, Jen?
And this letter will be put in the
Correct.
selectmen's file
Yes,
on
you
that contract.
requested that, yes.
So moved.
Wait,
Second.
Courtney has a question on it.
Well, go ahead and make the motion.
Okay, we got
You made a
Second.
motion,
got a motion, and I got a second. Okay, Courtney, comments?
And was there any investigation into the
I haven't had a
fire
chance,
to,
I will investigate that, I
fine.
haven't had a chance to talk to Pat about that.
okay. Then I honestly think that's the route we should go if we
Yeah.
possibly can.
Basically, let's get these back on the agenda and make sure that we did
Yeah,
this
so
right.
the letter that you send doesn't close the door.
No,
Okay.
Anything else? Anything else from the public? Okay, well, I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Mr. Chairman, can we vote the Crowell Road next week?
If you want, sure.
Yes,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye to adjourn. All opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Second.